Some of you guys really need to grow up, act like a human being, a decent human being, and be mature for certain situations like these. Now, I'm going to be talking about the situation that happened in Paris with BTS during their Love Yourself, Speak Yourself world tour. And now I'm honestly done with some K-pop fans. And I'm not going to say that only ARMYs do this because other K-pop fandoms do this with their artists as well. So this goes for anybody who is a K-pop fan and they're going to a concert, okay? So some of you may know, some of you may not know that Jungkook, during their stop in Paris, jumped over the barrier to hug one of the ARMYs who was in a wheelchair and thanked her for coming to the show. And I think that's actually kind of really awesome and decent, and it goes to show how decent of a human being that Jungkook is. And I really do appreciate when idols go out of their way to do something like that. That's actually really cool on his part, and he literally saw that specific person in the audience and went up to thank them. And I think that's actually really cool, especially because that person has a disability, and that probably made her night, and that's great. And I'm really happy for her, something like that happened, because that's 1 in a million chance, okay? But anyhow, some of y'all and some of those I'm not even gonna call them lovely human beings because they are not lovely human beings, thought that it was okay to mob Jungkook as this was happening, literally grab up him, where it took security quite a struggle and a fight to get him out of the crowd and out of where the barricade were. And it's just really, people? You for 1 second, or at least for 30 seconds, you can't contain yourself. You can't move yourself out of the way. Give Jungkook space to be able to go over to this one person who is disabled in a wheelchair, no less. And that's really dangerous to mob somebody in that specific situation. And think that it's okay to surround him and practically attack him, which anybody can get injured and make the situation even worse. It's just what are the thoughts going through these people's minds? And just tell you guys, a lot of these people were filming this event and even, proud that they got to touch Jungkook. Now let me just tell you, that is weird. I would never want to go out of my way to touch someone if it's not consensual, If they didn't come to me and they didn't look at me and give me consent or show an action that it's okay to do something, I am not going to do it. That is just weird. I have an example. I went to an Eric Nam concert and he came down and I was right up against the barricade, and he decided to stand on one. It was kind of like this thing that was sticking out from the other side of the barricade where he could stand on and kind of hover over the crowd. And these group of people and these group of girls behind me literally squished me up against the barrier and were trying to touch Eric Nam, and it didn't even seem like he consented to those actions. I literally did not touch him at all. I kept my hands and arm to my chest, and I was hoping that he would move on quickly because I did not like being pressed up against the barrier. I had literally nowhere to go, and I thought it was really weird that some of these people were actually, going out and touching his chest or other parts of his body that I'm okay, this is absolutely weird. If he came onto those barriers and held out his hand to me, then that's fine. I will, hold his hand back because that is consensual. But people just going out of their ways to just touch them because they are a famous person and they're your idols and you idolize them, that doesn't make it right for you to go out and touch that person, no matter how much you like them, no matter how much you think you support them and that your efforts should, be noticed and that you should be allowed to be able to do these actions because of how much you support the artist. No, that's just no, okay? I don't care. You just don't do something like that. You don't go and mob a person, because some people just forget that K-pop idols, they are human beings and they should be treated as human beings. Even though they are public figures, that doesn't give you the right to do whatever you want with them. Just because they make their life public and they're famous and they're celebrities doesn't give you the right to do certain things, because they are still human beings. beings just like the rest of us. They are no different from any of us, and they should be respected just like how we respect other people who are not famous, who are our friends and family. We should respect people how we would respect people close to us. And this goes for all K-pop fandoms, because this is not like the only incident. Something like this happened at a concert or at a fan side or whenever the idols are. It's just insane, and I just don't see how actions like these, like people are proud of doing something like this. It's like, where is your maturity? Like, what are you thinking? Like, do you think at all about your actions and the consequences that can have, especially with someone who is disabled and limited, like where they can go and movement wise? That puts a lot of stress on a lot of people. But I do have to commend a lot of those people. There was a lot of armies and other people who were trying to push against the crowd and let this girl have her moment. I am so thankful for those people, because it really gives a gleam of hope of really awesome, mature people who are allowing others to get, the limelight and to be noticed. That's amazing. You guys should give yourself a pat on the back, because that is just awesome. And that is what a fandom does, not what these other people were doing and literally grabbing at Jungkook thinking that was okay, which it really isn't okay. Even though he smiled throughout the whole thing when he was literally being dragged out by the staff to get to making sure he gets back onto the stage. He smiled throughout the whole thing. He was being a good sport. But I know that must have been really uncomfortable for him. And I know I would be uncomfortable if I was put in that situation. And I know I would never do something like that, because I wouldn't want to be treated like that. And I'm going to treat another human being how a human being should be treated. And they shouldn't be treated like a dog, okay? They shouldn't be treated like an animal. And that's what these fans did. They treated Jungkook like an animal. They were animals themselves, going out of their way and trying to touch him like he's some type of god, which he's not. He's just a human being. And that's what it just comes down to. It's just these people just idolizing and worshiping these idols and wanting that fan fiction moment. But it's not always going to happen. That's the reality. When you're going to a concert, you're going there to enjoy the performance and the music and to experience something that you like and that you love live in person. But when you do something like this, it ruins the moment, and someone could have got seriously hurt. And I heard that there were people who did actually get hurt during this whole debacle, and it's just really disappointing to just see, especially when K-pop fans already have a bad rap, and this is just making it even worse, especially with armies too. Armies already have a bad rap, so why make it even worse? Just saying. But anyhow, I just think people just need to learn to be a decent human being and to be mature and actually grow up and act your age, because this is just something that you don't do. It's really awkward, it's dangerous, and it's just not good. It's just something that you just don't do. Just don't do it. This goes for any fandom, any idol. You just don't do that. It's just so stupid and ridiculous. And if you don't want us to get a worse reputation, then don't do something like that. So everybody who actually helped out making sure everyone was safe, I'm so glad that you guys are decent human beings and show that the K-pop fandom is actually great. But for those who were, grabbing at Jungkook, running at him, mobbing this poor girl and him, and literally giving the staff a hard time to pull him out of the crowd, you should be ashamed of yourselves and your actions, and you should really apologize and work on yourself, because that's just something that you just don't do. I don't care if BTS or Jungkook is your bias and favorite idol. They are human beings and they should not be treated as animals, okay? That's all I had to say. I'm just pressed about this. It's just so annoying to see this happening time and time again, and no one learning from the consequences of other people from these actions. People can get seriously hurt when when people just don't think and just do whatever they want in the spite of like the moment. But people just need to think before they act, because bad things can happen when people don't think and use their heads. That's all I have to say about this situation. Everyone just respect each other and make the K-pop fandom good and not worse. That's all I have to say. Stay great, guys. This is Miss You Sun, and see you in the next video that I make. Bye!